Hi everyone, this is Katie Reid, the producer of the short film Visitors, and I am here now with our director, Emily Fischer. Hi Emily.
Hi.
So excited to talk to you a little bit more about the process, given how you've kind of been hands-on from beginning to end,
For a
pre,
really long
during,
time.
post.
Yeah.
Very long.
Very long time.
Yeah. Starting off, when Jana brought you the script and you started the initial process of, okay, I am directing this story.
Yeah.
What was your approach to that, and what did the pre-production process look like from that point?
Like Jana said, we went through several drafts of the script, and I think as we went, it just built confidence more and more as we had these revisions, as Jordan came in and offered her 2 cents, and like we ended up with a script that was really great, and so therefore it was really easy to jump into because it was interesting. And personally, I like asking actors questions. That's what I like to do. And this script gave us so many questions to ask that didn't necessarily have any answers, that were kind of ambiguous. A lot about this story is kind of left open-ended. There is a sense of closure at the end, but like we don't give hard answers. There's a lot that the audience is gonna have to intuit, and I feel like we did a pretty good job of giving them a lot to pull from to find their answers.
First, let's talk about your vision for it. When you first read the script and when you started digging into the storyboard and other pre-production visuals, what did that look like?
I feel like whenever I first read it, there was no vision. It was just reading it. It was just being like, this is interesting. I have no idea what this is gonna do. And I probably read it about 15 or 16 times before there became any sort of a vision. And the only way that I was able to discover a vision was to literally make my own storyboard, just a directing storyboard, which wasn't necessarily the one that we ended up on, but had some similarities of just like, okay, reading this, we need to see this. Okay, we could do a shot of this. We need to see this. Okay, and then from there, tailoring it. It's really hard for me to talk about my specific vision because I feel like whenever you're too close to something, it's hard to imagine.
Of course.
Yeah.
Were there influences that you pulled from
Absolutely.
to inspire what our final product has become?
Absolutely. So some things that we really specifically looked at were like The Haunting of Hill House, The Bly Manor,
Yes.
Midnight Mass, that kind of almost surreal thriller. Mm-hmm. But that kind of look specifically, I knew that this was going to be mostly shot at night, and that was something that did concern me because I'm not a big fan of just dark screens. I'm the kind of person who has my brightness on my TV very high because I can't see anything. So we definitely wanted to go for like a bright at night look, which I feel like was a lot of the color that we had to do with that, but also in shooting, like I was working really closely with Jana, our gaffer, and editor and writer, but in this moment she was the gaffer, on sort of capturing that look and bringing, I don't want to say fantasy, but I also do almost a little bit of like a slight fantastical look to it because it's not realistic. That's not what it would look like if the power went out. Like,
right.
Yeah. So the house we ended up going with, we picked largely because of capacity and vibes.
Yeah.
If you look at it, it is spooky as hell. It is very strange, and it looked nothing like we thought it was going to look.
Sure did.
First of all, we had 3 different hallway locations in our script. It had 1 hallway. Every room was connected to another room, and we arrived and we're like, okay. So most of the hallway scenes are actually just like the corner of a different room that we made to look like a hallway. When we were looking for cast and crew, the biggest thing we looked for was vibes. A lot of us were first timers in our roles, like specifically our PAs. I know our grip, he had never done it before. Mm-hmm. Our actors had not largely worked in film. A lot of them have a theater background. And we were looking for people who were excited and wanted to like come on this very strange kind of cobbled together journey with us. And that is largely what contributed to having such a great environment on set in this very, very bizarre house with these very lovely people.
So besides the challenge of no hallways in the house, what would you say were some of the more challenging scenes to work through once we were actually there?
Because we didn't know the house in advance, there are 3 scenes. No one's gonna know what I'm saying. 21, 22, and 23. That were just Hoyt and Mike. Yeah, that were just Hoyt and Mike walking down hallways. and we didn't have any hallways. And because we couldn't visualize it beforehand, we kind of said, okay, we'll take a day whenever we're there, and we'll decide how we're going to do it. And then whenever we got there, we had no time to do that. So that was very stressful. And what we ended up settling on worked, but there are definitely things that I would have changed, and that's kind of as things are building. For those of you watching at home, we cut back and forth between Hoyt and Mike a lot, and they're walking from the hallway to the kitchen to the living room. And there are things I would have done differently in there because I wasn't able to prepare as much in advance. And we rehearsed those, Connor, Noah, and I, but it's always different being in the space. And we just didn't, because of our financial constraints, we didn't have time to take a whole day to do rehearsal, to add a whole day onto our plan.
In contrast to that, more challenging scenes, what were some of the more favorite scenes of yours to spend time on?
29, 100%. For those of you at home. 29 is a really fun scene where we have all 4 of our actors and we're in the living room, and it's very intense. And for reference, each shot had a name, and it would be 29A, 29B, 29C. And I think we got to V or W?
W.
We got to W. We had like 24 separate shots in the scene, and in order to make things move faster, we taped out the camera location and the actor location on the floor in advance for every single one. And we ran it through in order because we shot out of order. So we ran the whole thing through in order like once or twice. And this is a scene that we had rehearsed with the actors also. And we had rehearsed it in order and then out of order. And it was literally just you standing with a clipboard and going, cue! And then we'd all have to go find cue.
Find your mark on the ground.
And then I would have to like orient the actors, orient the camera, and be like, and go. And then we do it and be like, B! And we just have to go back to the beginning because we were so limited on time, we had to really work with like what would be best with lighting and camera setups and to move quickly. So it was a lot of jumping around the entire scene. And while it felt very chaotic, I've talked to Jana and she says it was the most fun scene to edit because we had so much coverage of everything because there were so many shots, and like she had so many choices to work with, and it is my favorite scene overall, not only because it was fun as hell, but because I feel like it got me out of my brain of the theater brain. Like, we have to do things in order. We have to do A, B, C. We can do C, A, B if we want. We can do it in whatever order we want, and it's my job to orient everybody and make sure that we all know where we are emotionally and otherwise.
And what do you hope for this project?
I think a lot of my hopes for this project have already been realized. Not only because I feel like I learned so much, but like I said, I don't remember if I mentioned this earlier, but a lot of the people that we worked with were first-timers in some way.
Yes.
And so we talked about Alyssa, one of our PAs, who has since gotten more PA work. Kyle, who is his first time gaffing, and he's been gaffing professionally now. Like, I don't know, like, even just this sketch coming up, I wouldn't have immediately jumped into it had I not built confidence in this project. Like, there are so many opportunities that were created and connections that were made that have already helped people in the cast and the crew. Even just like some of the actors, like Noah specifically, whenever we were talking earlier, he was a little unsure if he wanted to do film anymore and was kind of hoping that this project would give him an answer. And I don't know if it did. We talked a bit and it seemed like he was going to continue doing it, and that's incredible. Like, frankly, I don't care what happens next. You know, like, the festival process is cool and exciting, but like, we've already gotten so much.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We've gotten the most of what we could get out of this project already because we've gone through the whole process together.
Winning would be nice, but I'm not married to
More
it.
money?
Yeah, I would love money. No. Recognition, jobs, but other than that.
But otherwise
we're great. We're good. We're done.
Well, thank you so much, Emily,
Thank
for
you.
sharing just a little bit inside your mind of how to even approach a project like this. It was fascinating. Love to hear it.
Thanks, Katie. I think you asked some really interesting questions that I wouldn't have necessarily even thought to ask myself. So I hope that these answers were good.
Yeah, that's what you want.
Wow.
Okay, and with that, thank you, viewers at home, for tuning in to this exclusive Q&A with our director, Emily Fischer. You can also check out interviews with our cast and post-production and writer, Jana.
Bye. Yeah.
Cutting.